question is, are you making this $47,000 mistake?
Hope not.
I hope not too.
We're going to get to this $47,000 mistake in just a minute here, but I want to take you back to this Facebook comment I got on a post about life insurance that I put up. She said, I totally agree. In 1995, my husband of 9 years died, and we did not have term insurance. I was left with 2 small boys and very little money. When I remarried in 1998, that was the first thing we purchased as husband and wife. Thank God I have not needed it, but it's nice to know it's there just in case.
This is one of those topics that no one wants to talk about. I don't blame you. Like, we don't really want to talk about it either, but...
Yeah, no one wants to be thinking about,
Yeah. What would happen if you needed life insurance?
And the truth is that this happens a whole lot more often than I think we would all like to admit.
Yeah.
And my uncle died unexpectedly, like just completely out of the blue when he was 39 years old and left 4 little kids and his wife. He did have life insurance, and they were well taken care of so that they didn't have to think about the money side of all of this while they were grieving, and they were allowed space and time to grieve without thinking about that. It's challenging enough as it is, but to add the expense of everything at the same time and going down to one income and having to feed kids and funeral expenses, like, it's just something that we want to avoid if at all possible.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, I don't think your aunt was working at the time.
No.
So she didn't have any income at the time, and so this really carried her for a while while she could grieve,
and just
figure
rebuild
things
her
out.
life. Yeah.
Right.
All right, so I want to go over a few life insurance misconceptions that you may have. These are ones that I had before we bought it. Okay, so yes, you might be getting some sort of small insurance policy through your employer, but it's pretty rare when that actually is the amount of life insurance that you need. So you need to figure out how much you need. And we'll have another video linked up above and down in the description below that shows you how to determine how much life insurance you need if you're trying to figure that out. But find that out, get that number, and then figure out, is your employer giving you enough to make it so that you don't need to buy any additional life insurance? Most likely the case is no. Most people find that they need about 10 times more than what their employer actually offers. So if your plan is to keep pushing it off and just, I'll do it in the future and maybe I'll look at it next year, like, you need to know that rates generally go up about 8 to 10% for each year that you age. And I had no idea that it made that much difference, but that's kind of like an average increase per year that you're waiting. Not to mention if you have a health thing come up that would jack up your rates as well, like, now is probably the best time to do it rather than waiting. Depending on your age, it might be cheaper than you expect. So for example, if you were to get a $500,000 20-year term life policy on a healthy 30-year-old, you're looking at around $20 a month.
That is way cheaper than I thought.
Yeah, but like I said, every year you wait, it just gets more and more expensive. And so with a term policy like this, like, you can lock in. So if you're 30 years old, you can lock in for 20 years and have that rate, and it's not going to adjust. That's what's so nice about term policies.
All right, so you've had a lot of people ask you, though, too, like, is it kind of a lack of faith if you're getting an insurance policy on your life, just like you're not trusting God with your whole life?
Yeah, and I mean, and the fact is that anything can be a lack of faith. Like, we can create some sort of barrier to keep us from needing God, and life insurance could be that. Like, you could be doing that, but the reality is that it's just another way to kind of prevent catastrophe. So, if you are locking your doors on your house at night, if you're wearing a seatbelt, like, those are just, you can make that same argument that that's a lack of faith. And reality is, I think it's just wisdom, just preparing for something bad that could happen so that it's not as bad. At the end of the day, life insurance is just another financial tool, just like a stock or a mutual fund or a CD or a bank account. Like, it's morally neutral. The attitude with which we use it determines whether or not it's right or wrong.
So really, we just want to encourage you, like, maybe this is bringing something up in you that's just gives that panicky feeling. And that's something that, you can grow right now, and you can start trusting God with that. Yeah, actually, you can use this as a tool to grow in your faith. One way you can go through this is to just emotionally shut down and, just fill out the forms and do the things, send your money in, blah, 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 and just not really think about it. But you could go through this a completely different way, which is to, as you're going through this process, to really see what's in your heart and see if there's anything that God needs to work on inside of you, so that you can do this with faith and can use this as a financial tool and a tool of wisdom, instead of something that is that you're fearful of.
All right, so now let's get to this $47,000 mistake that you might be making. And this comes through shopping for life insurance policies. And if you run the numbers from one life insurance company to the next for the exact same coverage over a 30-year term policy, if you add up the difference, it could be $47,000.
Whoa.
So the point is that shopping around and comparing rates actually is really, really important. And the key to getting the best rate is actually finding the right insurer for your personal situation. Because the fact is that different insurers have rates based on different criteria, and they're just different. So it's not an apples to apple comparison across the board. And so ex-smokers might get a better rate at this company, and people who are slightly overweight might get a better rate at this company, while people with high cholesterol might get a better deal over here. So it's important to shop the different places. And so this is starting to sound like a whole bunch of work that I don't think anyone wants to do.
Especially on a topic that nobody really wants to even think about much.
Yeah. And I found this website called PolicyGenius that I really like, and we've used at least 2 or 3 times that we've got life insurance or updated it. And I just love it because they make it really simple to shop a whole bunch of different places and compare rates between all these different companies based on your personal criteria. And it's just super simple, super easy to use. I just really enjoyed this site. And we'll have them linked down in the description below or up above. Yeah, and I'm always checking reviews on sites like this to make sure that they're legit and up and up. And they actually have a really great rating on Trustpilot, 4.9 out of 5 stars. So that makes you feel a little more comfortable about them. But regardless of where or how you get life insurance, it's something that you need to be thinking about if you haven't done it already. So those are just some of the factors you have to consider when deciding where this falls on that priority list for you. Now, just to be clear, we are partnering with PolicyGenius to make this video, but you need to know that we very rarely do this because we only work with companies that we use and that we have great experiences with and that we think are really going to benefit you. And so we would tell you about it regardless of whether or not we're a partner with them. But we just happen to have used this company multiple times, and they offered the idea of partnering, and it was like, all right, great, this is great. You know, meanwhile, we turned down about 99% of those, of all the junk companies that we just don't believe in. But we do actually really like this company a lot, and that's why we decided to part with them. So we view partner deals like this as a win-win-win. So we get to introduce you to really cool stuff that we love. You know, the advertiser gets to reach a new market, and we get to eat and live indoors, you know, and keep doing what we love. And so it works out great. So with that, if you are going to shop life insurance rates, consider using PolicyGenius and using our link in the description below, because by supporting them, you're supporting us. And yeah, and we would really appreciate it. So that is our PSA for the day.
You can do it.
Yep. All right, be blessed, be blessing.
All right, bye.